I've been bush bashing for the last few hours now. There's no track. It's so hard, it's so easy to get lost. I'm pretty exhausted and I've still got ages to go. This trek may just be the toughest I've ever done. In this video, I'm hiking 60 kilometres over the next 4 days in some very remote wilderness. This is the notorious Northern Circuit on Wilsons Promontory, and I'll be battling some intense scrub with no form trails, navigating swamp, and trying to not get lost in a disorientating landscape. I'm doing this walk during some intense temperatures that lead to me having to manage some heat exhaustion, while also dodging big storms. It's also summer here in Australia, so the snakes are out, as well as the midges and biting horseflies. I'm also doing the trip with only old school equipment that could have been found in the early 1900s, inspired by the field botanists who explored this area. I want to prove that you can still do a harder grade 5 hike like this with more heavy traditional gear, just like the old timers did. Wilsons Promontory is a national park in a beautiful coastal wilderness at the very most southern point of the Australian mainland. It's a known holiday destination for outdoor lovers and has been throughout the years. My family has history with the affectionately named Prom, with my grandparents taking my own father here for summer holidays in the 1960s, and I've enjoyed taking my own kids to this area as well over the years. But I want to look at the history beyond that on my journey through the Prom. The Bunurong and Gunai-Kurnai people lived in this area, hunting game and living off the rich sea life on the coast prior to European settlement. And then, on the 2nd of January 1798, George Bass and Matthew Flinders first set eyes on this spectacular piece of land from their whaleboat as they navigated the southern coastline of Australia. From then on, the Prom had a varied history from coastal explorers, sealers and whalers, shipwreck survivors and escaped convicts, pastoralists, loggers, fishermen, hunters, miners, and then, later, the conservationists. I want to explore this deep history of an amazing part of our country as I battle it out in some of the toughest conditions I've hiked in. G'day everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm on a big bloody adventure for this one. I'm doing the Northern Circuit loop of the Wilsons Prom. I've been wanting to do this one for a long time. Now, Wilsons Prom is quite popular. It's quite a well-known, destination for people. And the Southern Circuit is very, very popular with lots of people on it. I've done it before in the past, but I wanted to do something a little bit more remote, where there's not as many people, and the Northern Circuit is meant to be, the kind of the bad older brother of the Southern Circuit. It is, pretty wild from what I hear, and there's some sections of it that you go off track where it's just relentless bush bashing and walking through swamps. So it's going to be a bit of a tough one. If you want to see a good video on the southern section, check out my mate Silly Swagman. He did it a few months ago, and he's got a really good video up of the southern section. So 60 kilometers ahead of me of some very, very brutal walking, but the first part of this track is literally 18 kilometers on a file trail. So, and obviously the Prom has such a rich history, dating way back with the Gunai-Kurnai and the Bunurong people who frequented these areas, and then the 1700s, the 1800s, the early 1900s. There's just so much history to this place that I'll be going through in this video. But for this trip, I wanted to do kind of early 1900s, and I was inspired by the field explorers and the botanists who came through during that time. And they really were the ones who pushed to have this place turned into a national park. So there's some great history there that I'll go into, but all the gear is kind of early 1900s. Also trialing this great frame pack by Peak Oil Company. This is a new rendition of it, so I'm looking forward to giving that a go as well. I'm not gonna lie, my pack is heavy. My pack is probably about, I weighed it, might be about 24 kilos. Oh, I'm sorry, 25 kilos, and then probably 4 kilos on my bum bag. A lot of weight, and that's because here at the Prom you're not allowed any fires, which is understandable. So I can't have a fire, so I'm going for all tin food, because that's the most historically accurate kind of food you could have had in the 1900s if you weren't having a fire to cook damper. So I've got all tin, and that makes it heavy. But on the last day, which is the hardest day. The last 2 days I should be a lot lighter, because once I get rid of those tin food, takes off about 5 to 6 kilos, so that's good. What's crazy is that's the kind of wilderness I'll be walking through on the last day, and apparently with no trail, so it's just bush bashing through that, and that is fast. Wow. I honestly was not paying any attention. That is a big bad tiger snake. Jeez. On your way, boy. On your way. Like I knew they'd be out in this track, but I didn't expect this section. Well, I don't have gators, but I do have putties, and they will definitely be going on for this trip, because that is probably one of my biggest concerns. Tiger snakes are one of the most deadliest snakes in the world, so do not want to get bitten out here by one of them. I thought as well, I'll just let you know what my emergency backup is. I have a PLB. I also have a Zoleo satellite messaging device, and I've got 2 snake bandages, and yes, they're all here, easy access in my bum bag. Let's pray that I won't be needing to use any of that on this trip. One thing I'm enjoying experimenting with is looking how old timers used to carry loads of weight, and also like you look at other countries, Sherpas and in Nepal, and I've seen it done in Africa as well, with using head straps to take a bit of load off your shoulders. Now with this pack I'm experimenting, I've got 3 ways to bear the load. I've got my hips with the hip belt, I've got my shoulders obviously, but now I can just move my head forward and I slightly take the weight off my shoulders. Now you wouldn't want to be doing that the whole time, you'd probably give yourself a headache, but the ability to kind of adjust between the 3 different, positions on my body to where I bear the weight actually feels quite good. I quite like that option to be able to do that. And that's some serious wilderness, and there are some serious horseflies biting me at the moment. They are nasty. I'm really hoping there won't be too many of them at the beach, but we'll see. It will be windy at the beach, which is a good sign, but oh, they bite through your clothing, that's for sure. I'm on sand and I'm here on the coast. Wow, unreal. Look at this. Whoa, that is gorgeous. Talk about one remote looking beach. There's nothing around for ages. I'm looking out to the ocean. Just imagine when George Bass first came here with Flinders and some of the stories and adventures they must have had. When Matthew Flinders and George Bass passed by the Prom in their whaleboat, it's assumed they were the first Europeans to set eyes and feet on this wild land. But is that so? Could there have been Europeans here before them? It's been noted that George Bass curiously named a beautiful protected beach they landed on as Sealer's Cove, and not simply Seal Cove. Could this be assumed that the presence of rough sealing settlements were here before them? And what about escaped convicts from the Tasmanian settlement? Later on, in their second journey in 1798, they found smoke signals off the Glennies, which is an island near Wilsons Prom, and found it was from a group of 7 escaped convicts who had stole a whaleboat and were now marooned. Bass helped them get to the west shore, possibly Waratah Bay, with some basic survival supplies. Sometime later, they were spotted moving north to where they thought the new settlement of Sydney was. They were never seen again. Could there have been more men before them, marooned and doomed to perish on this wild land? We may never know. The penguin. He didn't make it. But let's all have the spirit of the penguin to at least reach out and try. This is beautiful. Alright, here behind the dunes, these are little camp spots. They're actually really nice. This is 5 Mile Beach campsite. Really nice. I was thinking of staying here tonight, but since it's only 3 k's to the next camp spot and it's only 3 o'clock, I'll probably push on. But as you can see, really nice spot to camp if you want to camp here. But yeah, I'm going to cross that estuary and push on to Johnny Sui, I think it's called. Okay. Oh, a little deep here. Yep, nothing too bad. Aha! Flowing water. Fantastic. Okay, that is good. By the way, I'm just using the little iodine tablets to filter my water, to purify my water. Can't boil here. I'm limited with what I can do, so because of can't have fire, so just make it easy. Iodine tablets, which were around in the 1900s, because I'm going into a bushy section, bush bashing. I'm going to put on the putties, which are the original old school gaiters. This keeps my feet supported and protected. And these are woolen putties, and I love them. Highly recommend them. Okay, let's do it. Okay, we're going through scrub now. Alright. Okay. I've got about 3 k's of this. It's not too bad, but it might take an hour or so. Bit of suffering to end the day, hey? Now that is what I call a view. Oh, beautiful. All right, I think that's all the uphills for today. Along the headland and down to the beach. Johnny Sui. Here we go. Oh. Beautiful. I feel like I'm on the home run now. Far out, what a solid day of hiking. Oh, made it to Johnny Sui campground. Now, apparently the boaters campground, which is down on the beach, is much nicer. So everyone says go camp there. So I'm going to push on down to the beach. Oh, look at this. That's gorgeous. Nice little campground. Nice little beach. That looks to be very brackish. Yeah, that's salt water. Alright, worst case scenario, there's fresh water here. It looks incredibly stagnant though. Pretty gross. maybe have some dinner. It's 6 o'clock already. Let's see what I got. Cold soup. Nothing better than cold soup. That actually tastes amazing. Honestly, I might just camp here. It's a little bit breezy, but I think if I set up here, I'll be kind of protected, so. So there's me tent set up now. This is a home canvas tent. It does weigh a bit. It weighs about 2 kilos. That's about the lightest canvas tent I could really get. Now I did give myself a mozzie net to have inside, just because summer, there's, you know, march flies and mozzies and bloody leeches and everything out here. So they did have mozzie nets back in the day in the 1900s, but not like this style, but oh well. Just gives me a bit of protection. Got my fallow deer hide in there, and then got my duck down quilt, so cotton quilt. I'm going to be very comfy in there tonight. Starting to feel good now. Tomorrow, I'm just reading that tomorrow is going to be a really hot day. It's a fire danger day, to be honest, so I'm a little bit nervous about that, going up into the 30s. I might really have to just walk out of here early to walk to the next camp. I'm just going to rest for a bit and enjoy the scenery, maybe go get some water, and I want to tell you a little bit more about this particular beach and this area of the prom. Let's see how far I can walk upstream. See if I can find some fresh water. Too bad actually. Not as brackish as down there. This might be okay. A bit windy where I was. It's fine with the tent, but I just want to chill out, maybe have a smoke a pipe, and then talk a little bit more about some stuff. So I thought I'd just have a walk over here and set up my chair. Frame pack. Oh man, it really is so nice to be able to carry a chair with you. And Lee from Peak Oil Company has really, I think he's put a lot of thought into this, and this rendition it's very comfortable. Now the section of the prom that I'm on right now, the northern section, used to be called the Singapore Peninsula back in the day, and it had a lot of development if you have a look into it. You know, there's whole townships on this area, on this northern part of the prom at some points, which is amazing because it looks wild and rugged and remote now, but back in the day, yeah, there was stock raising, there was tin mining, there was fishing, there was hunting, there was a bunch of stuff. But obviously with the name the Singapore Peninsula, there was some Asian influence and heritage there as well. Now in the mid-1800s, the Chinese came over to Australia for the gold rush, and they were quite prolific in the gold rush era, and they came to Wilsons Prom as well looking for gold. They did not find any gold here, but some of them actually stayed on and some of them were fishermen and hermits and actually traded with the stockmen. So that's why you get names like John Suey Campground and Chinaman Beach and Chinaman Creek, and yeah, the Singapore Peninsula. So there is a lot of Asian, specifically Chinese heritage here at Wilsons Prom as well. So I think that's really interesting. That's it, I'm done. It's bedtime. Going to the tent, I'm going to sleep. See you in the morning. Morning all. I was up very early. Well, it's still dark. Packing up my stuff, as you can see, just getting ready for that big walk. Oh, not big, 15 k's today, but it's going to be hot. It's going to be in the 30s, so I really want to smash it out early while it's still cool. My body feels absolutely exhausted. I would like to get to camp a bit earlier. Apparently the big storm is going to hit around 3 o'clock, so see how we go. But because Wilsons Prom, you can't have any fires, no solid fuel fire, so even the twig stove is not really allowed. But this is a little, I think it's a 1940s Bulgarian military alcohol fuel stove, and this is what I'm going to use just to make my coffees on this trip. Now, in regards to the name Wilsons Promontory, where does that name come from? Well, obviously a promontory is a high body of land that drops down into the water, whether a lake or the ocean. But apparently it could have been named after two different Wilsons. There was a Thomas Wilson, who was a London merchant and a friend to Matthew Flinders, who was obviously on the journey that first discovered Wilsons Prom, the first Europeans. But there is another story that there was a William Wilson who was on that whaleboat with George Bass and Matthew Flinders at the time, and that he was a part of the crew, and apparently he scrambled up onto one of the rocks here at Wilsons Prom and he lost his shoe, and that apparently Matthew Flinders wrote in his pocketbook, "We will name this land Wilsons Promontory," and gave it to him, ripped out the note and gave it to William to stuff in his pocket. So whatever the true story is, who really knows? That's my breakfast. Cold beans. Let's do it. Does my pack feel lighter? Not really. Maybe a little bit. I'm a little nervous about today. I've set off later than I really wanted to. I was kind of hoping to get a lot earlier. It's already 7:30, so I'm just worried about that heat. Now I have carried 3 litres on me today, because from what I can see on the maps, there's really no water sources until I reach camp 15 kilometers away. So I've really just got to watch myself today. Up we go. Okay. Oh, I don't like going uphill. This first section is brutal. Look at that view, beautiful. It's warming up, but this track, it just disappears into thick tea tree. I'm just pushing my way through. I don't really even know if I'm on the track right now. The track is barely existing. Far out. I know this is the hardest part of today, so So I guess good to get the hardest part of the day done early. But man, oh man, it's not easy. Okay. That was hell. 1.5 hours just to walk those few kilometers because the track was all but gone. I'm on the beach. Alright, I'm gonna have some water and I might even go for a dip just to cool off. I'm just going to wet this bit of cotton. Because of the heat today, I'm going to wear this on my head like this. Keeps the sun off my neck and keeps me feeling a little cool when the breeze blows on that. So just trying to be mindful of that heat. Okay, feeling good, hydrated, cooled down, refreshed, pushing on. Tell you what, if you're taking your time doing this trip, be nice to bring a fishing rod, that's for sure. It's pretty good. Not gonna lie, it's a hot one today. I'm about halfway across this beach. Oh, that heat is really kicking in today. There's a light tower up there, and I've made it to the end of the beach walk. So I'll be crossing inland from here, but I'm definitely going to stop and have a swim, some water, some food. Just bloody been marching for a good hour, I reckon. So it'll be good just to get the body rested up before this next inland section. Oh, look at this. Sardines. Yes, please. I'll have some sardines, thank you. Look at that. That is pure goodness. Oh, climbing up sand dunes. She's not really what I want to be doing. Oh, jeez. May the good Lord get me to the next campsite. First part of this track is bloody rough. Man, this is meant to be an old road. If it's like this the whole way, I might be in trouble. It's going to take me a long time to get to the other side of the peninsula, and it's hot and there's no breeze. I've done about 1/3 maybe of the way across this inland bit, and it is so much harder than I thought it would be. I've got about 1.5 litres of water left. It'll get to 30 this afternoon, so I need to get to camp. That's the only source of water. I reckon I've got another 2 hours, 1.5 hours maybe, of this bush bashing before I reach the coast, and obviously I can cool down there and have a swim. But what used to be an old road, an old track, is long overgrown. By the way, I've resorted to putting my leather gloves on. I saved them for the last day, but I need them for now, so. Okay, here we go. Okay, I reckon I can feel and smell the sea breeze. And and I'm probably about just under a K to the beach. I tell you what, that section was incredibly overgrown, got lost in a few parts, and I tell you what, there's a few scary moments there where just exhausted from the heat, and was wondering, am I really going to be able to make it? Am I really going to be able to make it? Now, you know, worst case scenario, I really don't want to set off an emergency beacon for a rescue. So I was thinking I might be sitting there in the scrub up till like 6 o'clock when the cool change comes in the rain. But I gathered my strength and my energy, and I'm pushing on. I'm pushing on now. Oh. There it is. I'm gonna put my shit down. Definitely having a swim. Chuna. That storm front is definitely on its way, so I'm gonna pick up the slack and at least get my tent set up before that rain hits. Look at that for bloody wilderness. Alright, so here are the campgrounds for Tinmine Cove. Pretty nice. A bit of protection as well from the rain and the wind. So I quite like it, but first things first, before I set my tent up, I need to go down to the river and get some water because I have about 100 ml left. But apparently the water here is quite metallic because, as the name suggests, there was once a tin mine here in this area, and there's quite a bit of history to tin mining on the Prom. A rush of mining exploration happened in the 1800s on Wilsons Prom. The idea of gold being present was explored, but never eventuated. But what did become common was tin mining. The miners built little shanty towns and cut rough tracks through to the mountains on the Singapore Peninsula to mine tin in the early 1900s. By the time the World Wars begun, the Prom was already a national park, but the insatiable appetite of the war machine meant tin was in high demand, and so park protections seemed to hold no sway over mining during this time. Eventually though, the mining stopped, and focusing on the park as a place of wilderness protection and recreation became the focus. Fairly stagnant, but no. If you ever come to Tinmine Cove, I reckon the boaters campground is much nicer. This is bloody beautiful, but yeah, I would have loved to have camped here, but with that storm front coming right in this way, I could dare say you're probably going to cop it a lot more than where I am, tucked away up in the heathland there. But man, this is beautiful. This would have made a really nice campground. By far, the best thing about lugging this chair frame pack around is the ability to do this at the end of the day. Definitely getting stormy. I reckon rain will be coming in the next hour or so. So it's 6 o'clock. Time for braised beef. It's always a surprise. I've got a few different types, but this is a braised beef one, so that is good. Alright, let's go down to the beach and watch these storms roll in, because it's not long now, I reckon. And then it might be an early night tonight. It's really nice, like it's so cool compared to that excessive heat we had today. Just the change, it's incredible. Raining a little bit, but a lot of protection from the trees above me, so I'm not really getting any of it. And this is a nice little sitting spot. I'm protected from the rain here. Okay, well, it's getting wet now, that's for sure. Almost time to lie in bed. Those rainbows. Hardest day of the trip today. Oh yeah. Myself a nice dog and gun today. Nice dog and gun coffee. Oh yeah. Breakfast working. It aches. Okay. Oh. So I've tried to pack it a little bit up today. The weight's not as evenly distributed now, but I'm not too worried because, you know, it's a lot lighter now with less food in it. And I've tried to just make it not as much hanging off the sides as usual, because from all accounts today is going to be a bloody, yeah, it's going to be bush bashing and stuff easily gets ripped off. That's what I've read, that hangs onto your pack. Oh, it's heavy today. Oh, it's a howling southwesterly. Jeez. Whew, it's going to be really exposed on the beach. Can't really see on the camera, but I got to go along that beach all the way to the end, and then that's where the swamp and the bush bashing starts. Now, I'll tell you something interesting about this beach. This is Chinaman's Beach. Now, in the late 1800s, with the pastoral settlements here, as well as the mining, there was apparently somewhere along this beach was called a township called the Seaforth Township that no longer stands today. Pastoral settlement was established early on at the Prom in a few places, but never really took off. The landscape was not overly suited for cattle and access was hard. But pastoralists still persisted, and areas around Sealer's Cove and Derby River were known pastoral stations. A township called Seaforth on the Corner Inlet side was established due to its more protected location, and the hinterland of the Prom was not really explored for pastoral purposes until the 1900s. In the end, the wilderness won over, and instead of looking upon vast farmlands, we look upon wild shrub and mountains. Now here's a story for all the ladies. Got a few women followers on the channel, and they always say, oh Luke, why don't you share stories about the old bush women? Well, I came across a really good one that I thought was worth sharing. Now obviously the Prom has a lot of history with escaped convicts, whether from the Port Phillip Bay settlement there, or whether it was from Tasmania. Now apparently there was a escaped lady convict called Biddy, and she managed to get over here to the Prom, and she was somewhere on the Singapore Peninsula, somewhere rather on the Chinaman Beach or Tinmine Cove. She had a hut that she built, and she lived there for many years, evading the authorities, and she had a fresh supply of water, and she'd survive by, you know, whatever food she could get out in the bush and hunting. But apparently she also made friends with the local pastoralists, the stockmen, and was able to get work with them, trading work for goods and food and stuff like that. So she was a very hardy lady, and apparently because it was deemed she had served her punishment by living out in the wilderness for many years, eventually she was forgiven of her sins, of her crimes, and allowed back into free society. So there's one for the ladies. There are some tough women in our history as well. I'm fueling up. You may laugh at how I look right now, but I am gearing up for some extreme bush bashing. No path, just absolute bashing through overgrown shrub and then swamp. I'm wearing my oil skins. It's also a bit of snake protection. I've got a glove on here. But the good thing is today's temperature is only going to be about 17 degrees. So, you know, it's going to be quite stifling in there without the wind and bush bashing. But at least it's not going to be hot like it was yesterday. So I'm okay to bush bash like this. And, you know, this section, apparently some people say it's about 6 Ks, and some people say it takes almost 5.5 hours to do it. So I'm looking forward to it. So it begins. Straight off the bat, we're on hands and knees. Oh yeah, just another 6 Ks of this, no issue. Yeah, I can tell that it's going to be hard to keep on the track because, you know, already there's no track. But, like for example, do I go up there or do I go this way? Oh man, like how the old timers did this with just an old school map and compass. Of course, the trails back then were not as overgrown. They cut pretty clear paths and tracks. This is the thing when you get to sections like this. There's a fork, you could easily go that way, or you go that way. Now there's a little bit of tape here, so I'm guessing this is the way. But there's so many little spiders, sorry mate, in the way. Oh jeez. So hundreds of them. Okay. Ooh, which way? I think this way. Can't see my feet. Which way am I going? Am I getting lost? Okay. See, this is where jeez, you really just lose the path. Every now and then you come across these things and you think, oh beauty, I'm back on it. Far out. You could get so easily lost in a landscape like this. What was that? A little snake. Didn't look like a brown. I hope not. It's just hours of this. Oh, that rain and the breeze is so nice. It means I'm not overheating doing this section, which is perfect, I think. I knew at some point this was going to happen. Tiger snake, one of the most deadliest snakes in the world, right on the track. All right. All right, I'm about to enter the swamp. Okay, mud, 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 mud. There's no getting around it. It's wet shoes from here on in. Yeah. Cool. Apparently this is just the best way through it, so that's what I'm doing. I'll deal with this when I get to camp. Oh, it's raining. Oh, hello. Like, I've given up just trying to find any track. I'm just scrub bashing in the general direction I know I'm meant to go. And then rechecking on the GPS every now and then. Again, how you would do this without a GPS device. And those old fellas are tough. Oh ho! Made it! This is the campground here. Not much to it. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Geez, I reckon that's almost deep enough to go for a swim. Oh, it's good to wash everything off. before I do anything, I'm going to sit here and have a celebration smoke. Don't mind if I do. There we are, all set up nicely. I'm loving this little mozzie net combo with this tent. Actually works really well. I'm glad I have it because there's so many insects and mozzies and stuff like that around here. I've got everything drying out. It's like 5:30. I am just resting for the rest of the day. I've got some dinner tonight, cold soup again. Yeah, it was a good day. This was meant to be the hardest day, and I don't know, I kind of feel like yesterday took it a lot more out of me just because of the heat, but it was definitely harder trying to navigate today. And tomorrow apparently there's quite a lot to navigate as well, so in the morning, but I'll deal with that tomorrow. Thank God for this chair. Oh. Oh yeah, sardines in tomato sauce. Love it. Oh, everything just feels like extra work this morning. So much lighter than the first day. First obstacle. Can we cross without getting our shoes wet? Oh, he's done it. He's done it. Oh. Oh. Not too soon. Oh. Oh. Okay. Off we go. Straight back into the bush bashing, I guess. Man. Okay, and there's, as usual, barely a path. You just gotta find your way. My eyes. Honestly, I have no idea if this is a deer track or the actual track. They're one and the same, and they're both not the same at the same time. This is the track and it isn't the track. It's the only way I can explain it. Yeah, bleeding all over. Time for some water. It's muggy today. I'm feeling hot wearing this oilskin, but it's keeping me protected. There's so many biting midges around me Ah, they're crazy. I'm going to push on. Every time I go have a break, like a water break, they surround me and just eat me alive. Okay. That's one tall grass tree. Beautiful. Surrounded by banksias. Oh, here we go. This looks like a good spot for a second breakfast. Oh, what a view! Holy moly! Incredible! Now, I would have to say this hike has probably been one of the hardest I've ever done, the most grueling. Do it on midges. And so I just feel like the whole trip has been a sufferfest. I probably won't do another one, big walk like this again in a while. But I tell you what, there is something satisfying about doing a trip like this and just mentally locking in and bearing with the pain and just pushing through and knowing that you have what it takes to have that mental grit to get through it, because it was rough. What an incredible wilderness it is out here. Ah, I made it to the road. Yes. Well, I made it to the road, just an easy walk back to the car. And you know, the chair frame pack, it performed well. Look, this was probably not the best hike to take a chair frame pack with you, just because of the absolute bush bashing. Look at all the yellowtails. Because of all the bush bashing, my pack, the frame pack, was constantly getting caught up in tea tree and stuff like that. But you know what? It's a pretty hardy thing, and it did well. It's not damaged in any way, and I reckon a modern pack would get torn to shreds through there, but this took the brunt of it. And I hear that people who have taken packs through there lose anything that's tied to their pack, but this thing here, everything is strapped on so securely and right behind that the front of it takes the brunt. So yeah, solid frame pack, can carry a lot of weight comfortably, and yeah, it's just a solid thing. And look, to have a chair to sit in at the end of the day is priceless, really. And it's so satisfying doing this kind of a trip with old style gear that you could have found with the old field explorers who explored this place back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and ultimately were the ones who pushed to have this as a national park. Botanical exploration became popular in the 1800s, with the bushwalking movement taking off. Both men and women field naturalists were very interested in studying the unique flora and fauna of the park, and would often trek out to wild places in the park, camping with the gear they had at the time. Avid nature lovers ultimately led to pushing for the Prom to be dedicated, at first as a temporary national park in 1898, and then a permanent one in 1905. On a Christmas walking tour in 1884, three men, J.B. Gregory, A.H. Lucas and J.W. Robinson, walked from Trafalgar to Mount Oberon. Prophetically, they had these words to write about the Prom. We may safely recommend the Promontory as full of interest to naturalists of all persuasions. Practically inaccessible as it is at present, we believe that a future yet awaits it as a summer haunt of lovers of nature and lovers of scenery. In many respects alike, we prophesy that, as the Cornish Peninsula was later to be discovered by tourists, not many generations will pass before means of communication will enable Victorians to find out and do justice to this noble granite promontory, the Cornwall of Victoria. In many ways, their attitudes helped in shaping these words come to fruition. The park would become a place of protection and recreation for many generations, and up to today, we have these hardy men and women to thank for the wilderness that still remains. There it is. There's the car. have a look what I got in here. Nice cold beer.